everyone. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox, your unapologetic deconstruction coach, here to remind you that this is your season. This is your season of self discovery. This is your season to deconstruct, your season to deconstruct from things that no longer serve you. Most often we go through life in a performative mode, just doing things as same old, same old. And you might ask, deconstruction from what? Deconstructing from what? Deconstructing from sometimes traditional norms, conventional concepts. Sometimes it's racial biases. Sometimes it's political ideology. Sometimes it's religious deconstruction. In fact, that's a big one. Most of you have shared that that is your biggest challenge in order to cross that whole uh, experience of being who you are, being your true, authentic self, and not live a performative life because you have these religious beliefs that conflicts with what you want to be and so forth. So we're going to unpack some more of that. Every week we try to be, every week I try to be, change, to address different issues, different situations based on what I hear from you. Now, I've got to share with you that I'm really excited about our show next week. We're going to have Dr. Mark Daniels. Dr. Mark Daniel, he is a former pastor for like 33 years. And, he started at a very young age because he's a very young pastor. And he was a pastor for 33 years and came to the awareness, the light, a conscious awareness of the truth regarding it. And when I say a pastor, he was a Christian pastor. When I talk about religious deconstruction, I'm really making reference to the Christian religion because that's what I am familiar with. And for those of you that really want my trajectory, my experience, my story, if you will, I'm going to share that with you so that you can have an idea how I, evolve through you know the my time in religion and my experience and so forth. But anyway, so Dr. Mark Daniel has agreed to share his transition. I think he is left, I'm not sure, I think it was 9 years ago, and he is now really passionately sharing with others the truth. And again, when I share, it's not for you to do what I do. It's for you to become aware, to know who you are, to know that most of the things that we have been taught are really based on someone else's experience, someone else's ideology, someone else's view, their opinion. It's a story. That's why we call it the story of, Jesus, if you will. It's a story. And it was important for me to do my own research when I left Christianity, when I left the whole religious circle. It was important for me to do my own research so that I would know for myself and be able to stand in this truth of my own, not depending on external sources to validate my position of freedom. When I say things like, I'm not a candidate for heaven, I am not wired for heaven, there's no fear in that. There's no fear in that at all. Why? Because, and, I don't need you, when I say that, I said that once in a circle and someone said, I'll be praying for you. Well, number one, you don't have to pray for me because I reject all of that, all of it. And you know what it says, once you reject the Holy Spirit, there's no chance for you coming back. And so I'm okay with that. That's number one. And number two, you know that prayers doesn't work, because if prayer worked, it would work for you. So don't knock yourself out. That is my position. It's not even a belief system. I share that based on what I know. and I share that with confidence. I share that with boldness, and I share that with a strong conviction of what I know. So, again, what I share is not for you, it's for me. And once you, and that's what the thing is this. I'm in this circle of people that are uh, in the same headspace as myself, people that have come to an awareness of themselves, their true, they have discovered their true authentic selves, and they are navigating life in that vein. So when I sit with these people, or when I come with these people, come together with these people, we're all speaking the same language, and everybody has a story. But when I share with people that are still in the faith, in religion, it's totally different. You may act as shocked, but for those of you that are on the fence, or that are going through this whole period of questioning, why is this and why is that, for you it's like maybe alarming, but have no fear. You need to validate your own self and know that to question, because remember, you have a brain, and you must use your brain. As a matter of fact, for those with the belief of heaven and heaven and so forth, when you die, you get to heaven and the second coming, and God is going to judge and so forth. He's going to judge you, asking you, why did you not use your brain? Why did you believe everything that you were told when I gave you a brain of your own, the ability to think, the ability to process things, the ability to reason? Why did you not use your brain and you followed a book? Have you considered this? Look, if God wanted you to really know Him, if God really, I'm just saying based on the God of the Bible, which is a made up God, but let's say that God, if God really wanted you to know Him, don't you think He would present Himself to you? And I don't mean, spiritually, or no, no, no. I mean, because remember, He became flesh. He became flesh, and He dwelt among us. Don't you think that, or has it ever occurred to you, I should ask, has it ever occurred to you to ask, to say, God, I need you to show yourself to me? And I don't mean in a dream. I don't mean like, some people talk about near death experience and all that. No, 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 no. I don't mean any of that. I'm talking you putting a demand on God. Why would you not? Remember, you're made in His image and in His likeness. And He said, come, let's reason together. Where is your reasoning? Where is your boldness? Where is your ability to ask and to put a demand on God? He said, command ye me. Why would you not do that? Think about it. Here you are, you're going through life, and most of what you go through in the teaching of the Christian religious is all based on fear. You know that. So you go through life being afraid of God, being afraid not to upset the Holy Spirit, being afraid not to take God's glory, being afraid not to be out of God's will, being afraid not to be unequally yoked with other people because that would upset God, being afraid to do something because God may not approve of it. Being simply afraid. Do you? And I can't say that I was. I'm trying to think where the fear was when I was a Christian, and there's certain things I simply didn't do because I spent a lot of time worshiping, praying, and I just thought I had it locked in. So, as a matter of fact, I had some friends. I had a friend once. Well, this person is still my friend today, and I remember this friend was in a relationship, and she was not. It was they were not married, and of course, today I don't think the same way. And this person was my very close friend. I mean, we were like this. And, I got so religious, so immersed in this doctrine that I said to her, I'm going to have to break our friendship. Mind you, I liked her a lot, and I liked her partner a lot. And I said to her, I don't know that I can spend time with you anymore because you are in a relationship that's not sanctioned by God. And I remember us in the car because when I communicated that, it came to her by surprise. And we were in the car, and if I remember correctly, we were both crying. Imagine that. We were both crying. We were both crying because I presented that as a religious command, law, rule, regulation, and but we really embraced our friendship, and I think we didn't speak for a couple of days, and 3 days later I was calling her, and we were back as friends again. That is the human element. That is my humanity. And back then it's like, I didn't, I don't know what I thought. I didn't care at that point. The relationship with her kind of meant more to me. And we went on being good friends. And you know what's interesting? When I left church, religion, doctrine, Christianity, doctrine, and so forth, my rhetoric, my narrative changed because I really no longer believed in that. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't intimidated. I wasn't manipulated. I could not be controlled. And I remember us getting together, and we were talking, and she wanted to know, well, exactly what do you believe. Now we're talking 16 years ago. I didn't really know as much as I know today, and I didn't even know what position to take. All I knew is that I no longer believe in any of the Christian doctrine, and I was actually weaning away from all of it. But I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am today, and I didn't know uh, what I believed in. I had no belief. That continues today. I still have no belief. But um, so I could not explain what I believed in. And I remember her saying to me, she said, I don't care what you believe. I don't care where you go. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you know. I will always be your friend. And it's interesting, till this day, we are still very close friends till this day. She really doesn't care. Now, we don't talk a lot about, no, I know her position because she is immersed into her religion and she knows my position. Now, most times we can have a civil conversation when it comes to do with that. But, she holds her peace. I hold my peace. I try not to offend her, and she knows not to offend me because it's not like, as a matter of fact, I remember a birthday. Uh, she took me out. It was my birthday, and she said, we were at the restaurant, and we were having I was having a drink, and she was having lemonade, and she said something like, let me see if I remember this. She said, and I don't know where this came from because we weren't even talking about religion. And she said, I just want to let you know that God has you in the palm of his hand. And I'm like, come on. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Tell me exactly, what do you mean by that? I wanted to say, but again, I didn't want to be offensive. I want to say, which God? And what do you mean by that? Because that's just really a cliche. It didn't make any sense to me. So I just cut it. And I believe that was the last time we ever spoke about anything religious like that, or her trying to, I don't know, get me back, sway me, influence me. I don't know what the objective was, but that was a moment that we just smiled. And we finished our dinner and we left. We went to have dessert, and it was all good. So I'm really blessed. I'm really lucky. I am really fortunate because this walk, yeah, you're going to lose some friends. Some, and then, I've got some other friends that, we spend some time together, but you're going to lose some friends, and that just comes with it. But to gain myself, to gain yourself, to get into this place where you discover you, and where you can do your own thing and navigate through life, living and just really enjoying your life, and really enjoying self-expression and the freedom of being your authentic self, living your life organically. That is to live for. People say, that's to die for. No, that is to live for. Just imagine, you don't have to think or worry about people validating you or affirming you, approving you. And then you try to do things to please people because you want them to like you. You don't have to do that anymore. It takes away fear. Fear is a big, fear is just a big emotion that gets into you. And it all starts with a thought. Your thoughts create your feelings create your emotions create your activity, your actions, your behavior. And if you are uh, if you are taught things that are fearful, then, and if you're afraid of, like, so many people are afraid of missing heaven or going to hell, there is no need for that. You have to understand what that is. You have to, more than understand, you have to know what that is. Because when you know it, you no longer need to understand it, because you know it. And once you know it, and I beg you, my friend, you have got to be bold, and you have got to command God, uh, His presence, because you're believing. And again, I am talking to you that are going through religious deconstruction. If you are happy with your faith, then this show is not for you. And it's not meant to offend anyone. This is just for those people that are going through this whole um, experience, this whole deconstruction, this whole journey of religious deconstruction. And, for you that are, life is short. I never used to like that cliche. I don't like cliches at all, but life is short if you are not enjoying your life. I don't say life is short because every moment for me is significant. I make a big deal out of the moment. I make a big deal out of life. I could, the other day my husband and I, we ate, we had a nice meal, and we went for a ride, and riding down. I don't know if we were going for ice cream. Yes, yeah, we were going. We like to go for ice cream. We like ice cream. And so we were driving down, and as we were driving down, there was this sunset. It was so beautiful. And so I started to talk to him about the sunset while he drove. And it was interesting because the sun was blinding into our eyes. So we had to, turn the visor down. But I got an opportunity to videotape and to take some pictures of this beautiful sunset. I made a whole deal out of that moment on our way to get some ice cream. And when I showed him the pictures after, we were like, oh my gosh, this is so neat. We relate that moment. We will always remember we were driving after I think we had eaten out. We left the restaurant and we decided we were going to go to get some ice cream. And we saw that. So I am so conscious of my moments. I am so aware. And I encourage you, that's what makes life interesting. Not just navigate and just drive. Now we could have just drive, and the sun is the sun. But the beauty of that sunset was so magnificent that I thought we need to record this. And I did. And then later he was able to enjoy the video with me. But we will always remember that moment. We ate and we went out for ice cream. And that's when we saw it. The sun was blinding. We turned the visors down. We had great conversation as he drove. And again, it was a moment. So when I say living life on your own terms and creating your own memories. That is what I mean. But then you become aware of your surroundings, of your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, your behavior. You pay attention to that and you give it meaning. You give it meaning, my friend. That's what happens. And I I cannot even stress enough how not only significant is that, but how rewarding that is. That is what makes life so pleasurable, so enjoyable. When I say life is for pleasure, those moments, that's exactly what I mean. Those moments that you create, that you make special. A lot of people they're waiting for things to happen, or they're afraid, or this that. No, no, no. You create those moments, and it's your thoughts. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So you can orchestrate, you can channel your thoughts to create whatever it is you want to create. Anything you want to create, you govern your thoughts. And as you govern your thoughts, you decide what you want your life to be, how you want your life to be. And with that comes enjoyment, comes pleasure, comes peace, comes contentment, good relationships. It's really magnificent. Once you learn those things, and you're going to learn things on your own, you're going to learn things that work for you. That's why I always say, discover what works for you and do that. But you have to have the boldness to do it, because sometimes we discover things and then we're thinking about, what is this person is going to say? What is this person going to think? And all of that. And that has nothing to do with who we are, because whoever you're thinking about, they have issues of their own. And most people, like, again, unless you have become aware of your true authentic self, you are living a performative life. You are living an identity that was imposed upon you, and you are living for the people outside. You're not really living to please yourself or for self satisfaction. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's putting yourself as priority, because once you put yourself as priority, I shared in a couple of shows back how I, came to awareness that I wasn't the priority in my life, that my husband was. And now he's getting more benefit from it, because I realized that the things that I was doing are things that I wanted to do, the things that I like to do. But now, certain things or certain time, if he interrupts my flow, I make sure that he understands that, he may need to wait, he may need to, whatever that is. So that is my experience. You will discover what works for you. You will discover things that, for you, it may be something totally different. And no one, again, is not good or bad, right or wrong, true or false, is what works for you. And who determines that? You determine that. This whole thing, especially with the religious deconstruction part, I spend a lot of time with that, because most people are uh, hindered by that whole religious thing. I know I was when I was a Christian. There's certain things that you couldn't do. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. You can't wear this. You can't wear, and there's so much confusion, and no one can say it's not confusing, because with 45,000 different Christian denominations, there is confusion. Some think you do it this way, you dunk, you sprinkle, you immerse, water baptism. Some do it the Holy Spirit, some don't. Some think one saved, always saved, some don't. There is massive confusion. And if you think about that, and really process that in your mind and start thinking and asking questions, you'll free your mind, you'll free yourself from the from anxiety or depression or all the questions that you have. you know when I think of, I said to you before, you need to ask the God that you serve. And you can't say, well, that's outlandish, that's crazy. You need to ask the God of the Bible is a male, according to the writers, the authors. You need to ask him to present himself to you. You must ask God because, when you were dating and you were marrying someone and whatever, you took that person to your home to meet your mom, your dad, your family, and so forth. They got to know him. They got to meet him. They knew who he was, he or she. And with time, they got to know him better. But at least they had knowledge. They didn't think, believe, Now, in my case, when I was dating my husband, my second husband, and when he decided he wanted to marry me, my father is like thousands of miles away. And he picked up the phone and he called my dad. He heard him. Back then we didn't have Zoom, Zoom or FaceTime. And he asked my dad for my hand. My dad knew of him because I had already told him about him, my husband, Noel. And my dad is like, her hand, you can have all of her. That's a joke. But anyway, so my dad got to know him. And then with time, we were able to travel to my country and, they met, everybody liked him. And it was just great. But he got to know him. My mom got to know my husband. You need to know this person that you're always saying, but you have a relationship with God. You have a relationship with God. Let me tell you something. When people talk about um, having a relationship with God, or some people talk, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. That in the last decade, or even more than that, the last 2 decades, Christianity has gotten such a bad rap. This stigma that accompanies Christianity is so not good that efforts have been made to rebrand Christianity. I mean, concerted efforts have been made to rebrand Christianity. So instead of saying, I'm a Christian, people are saying, well, I am not religious, I have a relationship with God. No, 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 no. As long as there's Jesus and God, you're religious. And you just need to know that. You can't say, I'm not religious, you are in religion. Because you're taking the same teaching, you're taking the same doctrine, you're taking the same dogma, and you're carrying it with you. It is still religion. And spirituality, unless you are into crystals and energy and stones and things of that nature, like mysticism and Eastern religion and so forth, um, it's still, spirituality is still part of religion. It's still a religious thread that you carry. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is so that you can come to a place of truth, because you can lie to everyone else, but to yourself, you have got to come to a place of truth. You don't want to lie to yourself, not to you. You could lie to someone else, but not to yourself. You have to understand and recognize and admit who you are. And when I say to tell God or to ask God to show himself, because if God wanted you to know him, because you can't have a relationship with someone you don't know. You can't have a relationship with someone you don't know. A relationship is mutual exchange. And it's not, oh, I have these thoughts. No, a real true relationship is a give and take. And what religion is offering is false hope. You're carrying things with you that you're not even sure. You're living your life now for heaven. You have no idea about heaven. You have no idea about heaven. You know what you've been told, you know what you've been taught, but you don't know the truth about that. When I say I'm not wired for heaven, and that's not a place that I would want to go. I've got too much juice. I've got too much energy for heaven, the way it was, or the way that it is painted in the Bible. When they talk about streets of gold and gates of pearl and walls of agate, I'm not impressed by that. And I don't want to spend my life worshiping any god, this life or after life. I don't want to do that. And by the same token, I'm not afraid of any hell, because I know something that you may not know. And when you know, you don't even have to convince neither yourself or someone else. You just live that life knowing. When you are a policeman, you show up with your uniform. You don't even have to say I'm a policeman. And that's why people that say I'm a Christian. No, you're not a Christian, because if you're a Christian, people would see it. When I show up, people, as a matter of fact, when I find myself in certain circles, people, assume that I'm a Christian. But it's no big deal, because I respect their uh, religion, their position, their views, their point, their opinion. I respect that. Now, if I'm asked, I'll tell them, no, I'm not religious. But I don't go around saying I'm not religious. And then they would say, well, you're not religious? It's like, what are you? I'm like, I'm not religious. And what do you believe in? Well, I believe in myself. I believe in the things that I'm able to do to get done. I can trust myself. I can trust, I know the people that I can trust around me, and that works for me. And yeah, people sometimes get alarmed, but that it is what it is. And then people, they walk away thinking, huh, she doesn't believe in them. Then some of them would say, well, I mean, people that know me or people that respect, they just walk away. But someone said, well, I'll be praying for you. I'll be praying for what? That's really disrespectful and offensive. When somebody says, I'll be praying for you, praying for what? What are you going to pray? That I believe like you? That is disrespectful. I said, you don't have to pray. I said, well, first of all, I'm not worried, because I know that prayer doesn't work. Because if it did, you would have had a lot of things answered already. We wouldn't have had hospitals and things that are happening right now. So I'm not afraid, intimidated, that way. But to tell someone, after having a conversation with someone and knowing someone's position on their religious views or lack thereof, and for you to say, I'll be praying for you, that is disrespectful. So I'm telling you right now, don't tell anybody, don't say that to anyone, I'll be praying for you. They don't need your prayers. All they need is for you to respect them, so that it can be a mutual exchange. A mutual exchange. I'm sharing this with you, my friends, so that you can start really, well, no, not start, because you're already in progress. Some of you are sharing how and what I am learning, some of the podcasts that I engage in or listen to, is that people are just waking up. People are so waking up all over. People are waking up. They're like waking up and asking questions. And one of the questions that I say to them, you need to ask. Don't say, well, I know God, and I know that I know that I know that I know. People say that. You need to ask, because again, I repeat, if God wants you to know him, he would present himself to you. I give you that as a challenge. If God wants you to know him, or to even affirm or validate your relationship, he needs to present himself to you, not in a vision, not in a dream, not in a feeling, not in an emotion. He became flesh. He's done it. You need to ask God. I dare you. You need to ask him. I need you to present yourself to me. Pull up. knock on the door, whatever, pull up, knock on the door, present yourself to me. And again, not in the vision, but in the flesh. Oh, God is a spirit and we can't ask this or that. You can, and you should. And do whatever in the meantime, you're waiting for that. And, there's no need to wait. If you ask God to do that, that should happen uh, now. It's like if I call, my friend and I said, can you come over? They'll say, well, yeah, I'll be there in an hour or something. Or, give me a couple of hours, let me get dressed, whatever. Or, oh, I'm over here at the mall, it'll take me 45 minutes to get there, and they will show up. So it is incumbent upon you to be able to ask your God that you are in a relationship with. Take it seriously. You've got to take it seriously because you're the one that says, no, it's not religion, it's not church, it's a relationship. I'm in a relationship with God. Everybody says that today. Everybody says that. No, it's not religion, it's a relationship. Well, if you know the definition of a relationship, you need to ask God to pull up, to show himself to you. You do it. Don't think about anyone else. You do it. You do it. And then you know what? Get your camera out and do this. Do this. Take a selfie. Oh, let me I need to flip it around. Take a selfie. Take a selfie. You and your God, and no one will be able to question that. Take a selfie. I'm not talking nonsense. I'm just making you aware so that you can think, so that you can think, process, and reason with your own belief system. And who knows if that is a if there's any truth to the doctrine, then God should show up. Expect that. That's not unreasonable. Why would you think it's unreasonable? Why would you think it's unreasonable to ask God to show up to you when you think it's reasonable to live for an afterlife that you know nothing about? Why would you think it's unreasonable to ask God now to show up? Why? Do you think you're not worthy? Of course you think you're not worthy. Why? Because that's the doctrine that you've been taught, that you're not worthy. You are not worthy, and like you're as filthy rags. You are not, you have no value. So you may hesitate to ask because you think you are not worthy of such magnificent uh, demonstration of the God that you say you have a relationship with. You're the one that said it. You're the one that said it. You're the one that said you're in a relationship with God. So if that's the case, then God needs to pull up where you are and show himself. And then you start asking questions. You can ask questions that make sense to you. When God talks about mercy, you can ask him questions. When once he pulls up and he's there sitting and chatting with you, you can ask him questions. Again, it's the God of the Bible. I don't, subscribe to any of that, but you that are asking questions and that are coming out of the deconstruction stage and religious deconstruction and are concerned, worried, fretting, about what might your life be, these steps will give you peace. It will bring you peace. It will bring you to a place of knowledge, a place where you will know and you will ask questions like, God, because if I had, if I was on the other end of the spectrum and had someone coaching me and talking to me this way, and I'm learning all this stuff, I would say, assuming that God pulls up and we're having a conversation, I would ask questions like, you talk a lot about mercy, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I know that, we've been taught about how good God is and so forth, but I don't see it. And I would look God in the face and I would say, I don't see it. Because if you say you are a merciful God, I don't understand how created you created Adam and Eve. You created Adam and Eve and you put them in the garden. They know nothing. They didn't even know they were naked. You tell them not to eat of this tree, the fruit of this tree, because their eyes will be open and they will know the good and evil, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. First of all, I would question. So what if what why is it? Why did you not want them to know? But then you've given us a brain now to be able to discover things, to engage in critical thinking skills, to build planes and to go to the moon and so forth. Yet you didn't want us to have your uh, to become like you. It says become like us. They'll become like us. I'm assuming Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And you showed no mercy. They did one thing wrong. Have this conversation with God. They did one thing wrong. They didn't even know. It says, you said they will come to the knowledge of good and evil. They didn't know anything about evil. Who created evil? Oh, okay, I remember. You said you did. So you created evil. And then there's good. They didn't know anything about good and evil. They didn't know evil was bad. They didn't have Merriam-Webster dictionary. They didn't have that. They had no idea what that was. And you did not exercise mercy upon these original created beings that you created. You got to get bold, my friend. Start asking, put God on the spot. Pull up, show up. That's not disrespectful. That's just being smart. Hey, look, you may have the you may have the media at your doorstep. When you if you come up with something, God pulled up. You have a selfie of him. That's not a joke. I'm serious. It is your life. It is your life. Now, this is your season. Why? Because we have so much open to us. We have so much information. We have so much available to us that we cannot just sit and let life just go by and do nothing, say nothing, be nothing, think nothing, just go along with what following someone else's narrative, someone else's rhetoric about uh, how to live your life. And therein lies frustration and anxiety and depression and fear and all of that. You don't need to go through that. You need to flourish. Your life needs to flourish. You need to be able to do the things that you want to do. You need to be able to travel. You need to be able to do things, to go places. And if you have kids, you need to be able to plan for their future and not only plan for their future, but show them a good life now. Let them know what it is to enjoy a spring break and travel and go someplace else. If that's your thing, whether it's a staycation or a vacation, whatever, just be able to do the things that you want with your kids, to live life with gusto, to enjoy life, to be able to go out and not be restricted by lack of funds, lack of finances, lack of resources, to be able to live the life that you want. Because again, the quality of your life is contingent upon the quality of your thoughts. And when your mind is free to think whatever you want to think, because if you want a life that is prosperous and that's flourishing and that is abundant, then you will channel your thoughts. You will create thoughts. You will program your mind. You will deprogram the negative stuff, unpack that, erase that chip, that disk, and put in a new disk with new thoughts, new expectations, new idea. People that told you that you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, or you can't have this, or you can't have that, or you'll never get from this position to that position, and you will always be this, that, or the other. You need to debunk that, and you need to prove not to them, but to yourself that you are well able to create a life, to live life on your own terms. But it starts in your mind, with your thoughts, with your thinking. It's what you create. You can create thoughts. You can create thoughts that are favorable to you. I do it all the time. My whole life is based on the thoughts that I orchestrate in my mind. When we plan to go somewhere, or whatever we plan to do something, or it all starts in my mind. It starts with my thoughts, that I govern my thoughts. And sometimes thoughts shoots across my mind that are not favorable, that are not positive, that are not optimistic. Thoughts of fear. With all this thing that's going on, all this political thing that's going on. We had a conversation, my husband and I. I said, you know what? I said, one doesn't need to respond to this or react, because you want to respond in life, not react. One doesn't need to react to this shock and awe news all the time. If you remember back in January, the whole thing was about tariff and tariff and tariff, and then Canada called our bluff, and they said, we will pull the switch and turn off the electricity in New York City, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I believe it was those three states. I believe they supply energy to those states. And for a moment there, I thought, oh my God, I said, just imagine them turning off the energy. I said, what about hospitals? What about, homes and kids in the hotel, and, the subway, and, the air traffic controller, and I started thinking about all that. And then I arrested my thoughts. I said, Cynthia, that is out of your control. So just let it go. Shut that window, shut that door, just close it down, shut it down. That I'm not in any of those states, so it would not have affected me. But that's not the point. To sit here and think that, a hospital is without power, energy, someone is stuck in the subway, air traffic control can't, land the planes. That is serious. And I could have really gotten worked up in my mind about that and so forth. No, I focus on the things that I have control over. So I shut it down. The moment I saw myself getting, I shut it down. I shut it down, and I just took it out of my mind. I thought, I don't have, my thoughts are always for good, well wishes, and so forth. But I shut it down right away. And look, today, not today, sometime this week, the news was that whole threat has been debunked. That whole threat no longer. We're not. The thing was about the tariffs, and now that's not. Everything's been canceled. No tariff. Everybody's fine. And they called the bluff on the Americans and so forth. And people are just going about their lives. So if I had entertained those thoughts in my mind, it would have become stressful. I would have been stressed out thinking about that. And then, here I am. I can't fix it. That's beyond my control. But I'm thinking about that, stressing out because of the shock and awe. And now it's changed. Now it's fine. Everything is fine now. So I spared myself those thoughts of anxiety, of worry, of, fear for them. Because, eventually it's a repercussion. It starts affecting, it's like a domino effect. It affects the whole country. So, but I governed my thoughts. So I was fine. I, we, as a matter of fact, I said to my husband, I said, you know what? We pay so much for cable TV. I don't even know that we should have it anymore because we simply we have just like shut it down. The Food Channel and HGTV, those are our favorites. Univision, Telemundo, the Spanish channels, Paquete Español, to watch soccer games and things like that. That's what we like. If I could just get those three things, we would be fine. We don't need cable news. We don't need world news. We don't need any of that because, we both have devices, and over our devices, we get alerts, notification. Just give me the headline because I need to remain relevant. I want to know what's going on, but I don't need to sit for 60 minutes and listen to every detail of the news. I don't care. The things that I can control, that is what I'm going to look at. That's what I'm going to focus on. The things that I can control, the things that affects me. And where I can help, if I can help someone get over a situation or whatever it is, if someone is having a problem, GoFundMe or whatever, if I can help in that way, then yes. But this whole feud between the Canadian government and the U.S. government about tariff and shutting off the lights and all that kind of stuff, I don't have control over that. I don't have control over that. And I spared myself, what, 3 months of, or more than 3 months actually, of trying to think of things, or using space in my disk to store information. I was talking to my friend this morning, and we were talking about, I don't remember what we were talking about, but I said, I commit information to my phone, to my cell phone. My cell phone is my office. It is a walk-in office. If we leave the house and we are, I don't know how far away, we will turn back because my device is my office. That's where a lot of information is stored. And we were talking about, people forgetting and stuff like that. I said, I don't, things that are not important to me, I don't store it in my mind. If you introduce me to your friend, I would make a note, like if there was any kind of significant conversation, and if I knew that I'm going to see them again, I make a note in your contact on my phone. Sue, Joanne's friend, met at uh, dinner party event at so and so, blah blah, and that's it. So if I see Sue again, I have that information. Now, if you ask me, oh, the girl that you met at this party, I don't need to remember that person's name. Why? I don't need to store that in my mind. It means nothing to me. But I have a frame of reference. I will know where to go get it. So I am encouraging you to, to really use your brain, use your mind, use your reasoning, use your logic to evolve and be bodacious, be bold, be daring, ask questions and do things and live the life that you want. Don't let people tell you what you can do and what you shouldn't do and what you know. That's no, if you're an adult and you can take care of yourself, and that's the whole thing, seek to be independent, your own autonomy. You want to be able to self-govern by critical thinking skills and self-govern by your emotional intelligence, being able to regulate and not be offended or get angry, or or to shut yourself off and to stay fixed and not open to new things, because that's how we grow, that's how we learn, that's how you evolve. Think of a baby. A baby Baby doesn't keep asking the same questions all the time. These two babies, they're twin, and they're like 2 years old, and I'm seeing them, watching them grow on social media. Their grandmother posts a lot of stuff on there, and and you see them, and now they're learning to say thank you. And so she gives them a snack and they say thank you, and with time their words are becoming clearer. Why? Because they're growing, they're evolving. And then when they're asking for something, now they're saying please. We are meant to be curious, we are meant to uh, want to discover things. So you can't close yourself off. That's a trauma response. When you close yourself off and think, I don't want to learn anything else, and that nobody's trying to sway you, but it's good to know. And I know that because when I was a Christian, I remember them forbidding me, not me, but the congregation, from reading the book The Secret. Oh no, that's demonic, blah blah blah. And I was curious because I like things that has to do with the mind. And so I never bought it. I did afterwards. I've done, the hell with that. And I bought it, and I'm telling you, it's a great book. Teach you a lot about the mind. And people talk about manifesting things. I'm just talking about living. You program your mind to the thoughts that you want for the life that you desire, and you will see that it obeys you. It will obey your command. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As a woman thinks in her heart, so is she. You have the ability to think the thoughts that will benefit your life. Now, regarding your religious path and so forth, you have the right to question this God that you say you're in a relationship with. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you have some physical situations going on and you go to the hospital, you can't come out of there saying, praise the Lord. That was science. You have a situation, you go to the doctor because, a miracle and healing happens when you need no scientific intervention. Let's get real, my friend. When you need no scientific intervention, that is what constitutes healing. That is what constitutes healing. Somebody comes up with a terminal disease or something like that, and they're healed. That constitutes a miracle or divine healing. But as long as you have scientific medical intervention, that's not a healing, because the body is designed to heal itself. And then, anyway, uh, that's a whole different teaching. Anyway, my friend, give it some thought. Ask God boldly to pull up on you, to pull up, to show himself so that you can validate your relationship with him. Otherwise, it's not a relationship. You know it, I know it, and the people that you tell it to, they, when you say relationship, no, it's religion. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. That's a lot to unpack. I was going to share today about, my own, because I know that, you want to know about my life and how I came into this, and how it all unpacked and how I came to where I am now. And we'll get around to that. I was just flowing as I saw fit, as I, felt that I should. And this is what happened today. Now, remember, next Thursday, we're going to have Dr. Mark Daniel. And, you know, he'll be a guest on our show. And he has gone through this whole journey of religious deconstruction. As a matter of fact, I think he's still going through it because, he grew up in the church. His father was a pastor, and he was a pastor for 33 years and so forth. So he's got some things to share. And now he's just sharing with people the truth as he has learned it. So I'm going to leave you with this, my friend. Now, remember, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have a date. And if you can't meet me here at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, check out the icons down here: Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You could pick up the show 24/7. Now, I am also a certified life coach, and I'm really talking to a lot of people now in the area of deconstruction. And I am unapologetic about that. Deconstructing from things that no longer serve you. Write to me at thecynthialinoxshow.com. Send me an email if you have any questions, and we'll take it from there. In the meantime, I will see you next Thursday, same time, same place, and have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy it, and I'll see you then. Ciao.